Ken Bordwell. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Brazil from 1966 to 1968. We were trained to do community development, which is kind of a program where you go into a community, analyze what's needed, what people want, what their felt needs are, and then help them get organized to solve those problems. And I, in the period of about 2 years there, the specific things I got involved in were a literacy program, and before that, even the first thing I got involved in was the Boy Scout troop, which this was in the tropics, and men didn't wear shorts down there, but if you became the scoutmaster, you could wear shorts with your scouting uniform. So that was a benefit for me, and I was able to organize a scout troop, which they'd wanted but couldn't find a leader for. So I helped pull that together, and then later other leaders emerged when it got organized and it was off on its own, and I was able to fade out into the background, which was the whole idea, is work yourself out. A few people in that town saw that you could pull together, organize for a purpose and get a job done and get something going, and hopefully improve kind of the social organization. That would be, the literacy program also is the same thing, about helping people get organized to get something done. In this case, teaching people to read and write, and learning to read and write, that it can be done. People can be successful when they organize and work together. What we were able to do is kind of break down the social. It was pretty stratified socially, with the upper class and very small middle class and a lot of poor people, and they didn't associate too much over across those social lines, across those barriers. And one thing, we went down there kind of without a social class. The Americans were we were in a class of our own, and socialized with everybody pretty much in a status of equality. So hopefully one of the things they would have learned from us, learned from me specifically, was kind of to be able to deal with everybody else on a more or less equal basis. That people are people, and people are not just representatives of a class. I think people over the world kind of like Americans, and I think Peace Corps and Peace Corps volunteers have been a big part of that. Although there's much distrust of our government, including by myself, both then and now, I think we as Americans look pretty good, and not to mention the skills we may have passed on, which are many and varied, and in my case, kind of organizational skills. Other people taught sugarcane raising, pig farming, privy building, all sorts of specific skills. But I think the biggest value to the United States is the people power. Well, I think the experience of living abroad it's $1 million education. You learn that people are people. We're pretty much the same. We all want safety for our kids and a better life for our kids and grandkids. We want to live happily from day to day, out of want. I think everybody on earth is the same way. After that experience, whenever the U.S. is going to war with somebody, you always get this demonization of those people. It was the North Vietnamese, it was the Iraqis, it's the Taliban, it was the Russians when I was a kid, it's the Iranians right now, it's the Hamas, acting as if these people are somehow different from us. And basically one of the things I learned in Peace Corps is probably not, but I don't think they're that different from us, that they really want the same things. And I look at what's going on with them as probably their leadership, and I look at our leadership and say, yep, the people are not what the leadership looks like. One was that class structure, dealing with that. I mean, the doctors from the health post, if they were visiting our house, didn't like it if we invited a beggar in who was an epileptic and whatnot. That was beneath their class, and to try to, that was difficult to deal with. The other was the whole machismo thing in Latin America. Well, it's kind of a class system based on gender, is what it amounted to, and that was hard to deal with. So we just dealt with it as best we could and lived across those lines as best we could. I think we could learn that the less you draw lines, the better. Draw a circle and pull me in, not draw a circle and push me out. The less we look at people as groups and work with people as pretty much the same, although we recognize that different people do have different backgrounds, but they're not to be a dividing line. They can be a celebration of diversity.